on live streaming. Thank you. Okay, so agenda item 1 is apologies. I think I had one apology sent in, isn't that right? Councillor McNally. Any other apologies? No lights on, and I'm not seeing any hands up online. So agenda item 2, declarations of interest, but as always, we can take them as we're going along. I don't see any hands up or lights on. So straight to agenda item 3. First item 3.1, this Martin signage. It's an item for decision. Jonathan, will you take us through that one, please?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. The report before you tonight, the recommendation is that members approve the request from the Samaritans to erect signage at 6 play parks. Members will see the play parks in the detail of the report: Lurgan Park, People's Park, Craigavon Lakes, Gosford Forest Park, Lagall Country Park and Solitude Park. Members, the signs will have the Samaritans logo and the helpline number. Happy to take any questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Alderman Baxter, you had your light on first.
Thank you, Chair, for bringing me in. I remember historically, 10 years ago, I think, when I sat actually as Mayor in Craigavon, that it first originally came, the Samaritans came looking for signage right around the lakes, and we approved it then. There was quite a big piece of work done then, because I know there was other providers that were consulted to see if they would be happy with it, because obviously there's still other providers that offer this service. But I think there was quite a lot of work done around who had the capacity to do it. I think everybody agreed that they were happy to let the Samaritans on that basis, given that they have the capacity to offer the services being proposed. I am happy to propose it on this occasion. I think it's a very good idea, and anything we can do at all. Particularly with the winter that we're going to have, very challenging winter. It's certainly going to have a huge impact on people's mental health when we look at the cost of living crisis and all that. I think we're only really at the start of it now. And if we have any cold snap at all, it's going to be horrendous. So I think we approve this and hopefully it can be done just as quickly as possible. So I'm happy to propose, Chair.
Thank you. And Councillor McNeil then.
Thank you. I just want to echo the previous speaker's words there, and I would be happy to second this worthwhile project. Thank you.
Sorry. And Councillor McAlinden.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Jonathan, for the report. Yes, and Jonathan, has our country parks been considered? Moray, Oxford Island, Animal Gardens? Thank you.
Through the Chair, yeah, look, I can check with Samaritans in relation to maybe a potential rollout of a further phase of this. I think maybe what we were trying to do was maybe try to initially deal with the parks with the highest footfall, but certainly take the members' comments on board, and I'll speak to the charity in question. Thank you, Chair.
Happy enough then, Councillor McAlinden. Thank you, Jonathan. And Councillor Hockeyan online.
Thank you, Chair. It was just apologies for coming in slightly late there. I was having some technical difficulties. Yeah, so just to welcome the report on behalf of our party and echo the comments that have been made in the chamber tonight. It's great to hear we're all speaking with one voice, and in particular, I would agree with Councillor McAlinden around potentially identifying other areas that this could work. I mean, it's something that's just relevant in every corner of our borough. So it's good to hear Jonathan give us that assurance that we'll work. There won't be a full stop here. We'll work towards potentially increasing the visibility of this, but we fully support this and very much welcome it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. And no further hands up, no further lights on. Are we all agreed? Great, thank you. So moving on now on to agenda item 3.2, the Department for Infrastructure letter of offer for the active travel project. And Gillian Jurt is going to lead us through this one. She's online.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, members. So item 3.2, Department of Infrastructure Letter of Offer for Active Travel Projects. In 21, Council secured £40,000 from DFI to deliver 2 active travel projects. Unfortunately, we couldn't deliver them within the required timescales. DFI have advised us that they would accept an application for this year's active travel programme for the same projects. The recommendation is that members agree that the Strategic Director accept a new letter of offer from DFI for £40,000 for ABC cycling infrastructure projects. Thank you.
Thank you, Gillian, and I'll bring in Alderman Wilson first.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairperson. It's good to see this report here. I know I'd lobbied extensively with officers previously on the need for a bike repair station at Gosford, and I see it's included, and I want to thank the officers because they did assure me they would really focus on it and take it forward and make sure Gosford was included in it, because a lot of the bike users of the park had said, they'd seen them in other places and they thought it'd be a really excellent addition, just to give that bit of flexibility if, bikes are punctured or just generally washing them down and that type of thing. So it's a really positive development, another one for Gosford, and I really welcome it and propose it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. And yes, whilst you're welcoming one in Gosford, our largest urban park doesn't seem to have been granted one of these posts, but I'm sure that's another conversation for another day. Alderman Spears.
Madam Chair, thank you indeed for bringing me in on this. Yes, if it has been Councillor Wilson has proposed, or Alderman Wilson has proposed, that I certainly very happy to second it. Something that I certainly very much welcome the rollout of this, and I suspect this is possibly the start of a scheme that no doubt can develop. I'm not sure how many stations will be created across the district as a result of this particular funding, but it's certainly very welcome. I've had instances, yes, myself, whereby people have went with their bicycle and come back and it was missing and whatever. So it is a very, very important development, and I have great pleasure in welcoming it and indeed seconds in the proposal. Thank you. And thank Gillian for the work she's done in that respect.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. Councillor Hockian online.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Gillian, for the work you've done on this. It is a good news story, no doubt, and again, I'm glad to see items like this coming through. I would, however, tend to agree with your comments, Chair, that there are a number of omissions, most notably Lurgan Park. I do think while this is a very positive story, we do need an assurance from officers that we will continue to identify gaps where this could be and should be provided should more money become available. It is 100% funded, and don't get me wrong, I looked down that list and it's fantastic that all those parks and areas are going to benefit, but there are no doubt a number of omissions here, and Lurgan Park would be one of them, but happy to support this as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. And Alderman Barr online.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Apologies, my Wi-Fi is lagging somewhat here tonight. Yeah, happy to support, but I was just wondering, does Council run the Cycle to Work scheme for members of staff?
Jonathan, take that, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. And again, that's something that we currently don't do, but certainly I could happily pick that up with our HR department and our finance department, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Alderman Barr, for bringing that up. I know that would be a big help for a lot of our workforce. Councillor Tinsley.
Thank you, Chair. And Gillian, thanks. I also want to support and also welcome this as well. I remember the first visit I paid, just literally the play park in Kernan was only opened a few hours, and I was straight on the phone to officers and says, we need some kind of for the bicycles, because I walked in through the park and there was 6 bicycles strewn all over the play park. So straight on and said, this is something we desperately need. So it's great to see that this offer is coming through, and that Kernan is also one of those areas. So I welcome that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tinsley. And there's no more hands up and no more lights on in the chamber. So, and yes, we had a proposer and a seconder, and it sounds like we're all in agreement for this. Happy enough? Yeah, thank you. So we have items now 3.3 to 3.9 are all information items. If we could take these for noting, take them as a group, but are there any questions? We have a few hands up online. Alderman Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not too sure how good my signal here is. 3.4, it says in the bottom line, application has been submitted on the 1st of September. The programme, if approved, will run by the existing. So it's for noting, but can explain what the comment if approved. Hopefully you got that.
Paul, I was going to take that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Yes, an application has been submitted to the ARCs, and we're hoping to hear in the next couple of weeks whether we've been successful in running the programme.
Yeah. Happy enough, Alderman Barr? Yep. Councillor Nelson?
Happy enough, Madam
Chair. Councillor Nelson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. And I suppose just to start with 3.3 and to congratulate any officer that was involved in our Get Out and Get Active programme that has led to the council receiving an award. But Chair, I just want to speak briefly on item 3.5, the fireworks event at the lakes. I suppose just to say from the outset that this is probably one of the most popular events that we run in the year. It takes huge efforts behind the scenes to get it off the ground. And I suppose my only issue that I would want to raise this evening is that for the last number of years, and tonight certainly isn't the first time, certainly for the last 3 years, I have asked that the timing of our fireworks show be reviewed. So it's disappointing that during the week it came to my attention that another report was coming to committee tonight with the exact same time that I have requested on numerous occasions in the past that we review it, with a view to bringing it forward earlier, because the feedback that I get from constituents is that 8 p.m. is just too late. It's too late for young children, and it's too late particularly when the firework display falls on a school night, as this particular year it will. Now, I want to thank officers who engaged with me last week on this. I want to thank in particular Tony Hamill and Paul Coleman as well, because, you know, in conversations with them, it now appears that the licence is submitted, the work has been done with the emergency services, and so this year an earlier event isn't going to be possible. But just thankful that a commitment has been made that will be reviewed in the weeks and months following this event, with a view to hopefully getting that off the ground next year. And also spoke to Tony about a quieter event, silent fireworks, which would allow some of our more vulnerable citizens to enjoy a firework display as well. So I just would like, Chair, if my comments could be noted and minuted in particular, that again, putting on record that I would like to see this event moved to a slightly earlier time, somewhere in the realms of 7 or 7:30.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. Does anybody want to come in on that? Just bring in Alderman Baxter, please.
Oh, there we are. Not that I want to see myself on screen too often, Chair, but I know that's the protocol of the meeting before we start to speak. Yeah, look, happy enough actually, and I do have to agree with Councillor Nelson. I do recall the member bringing this up last year and the year before, and we did say we'd review it. So I suppose it's kind of disappointing that it didn't happen and we haven't put it forward by half an hour, because I don't think that's really a huge request. Obviously, this time the media is out and everybody knows it, so there'd be a confusing message, obviously, if it changed at this time. So happy to support that it maybe is at 7:30 next year. I think 7's even maybe a bit earlier, given the event we'll have maybe in Rushmere beforehand, and people rushing home from work and working parents coming home and trying to get their kids ready and rushing to Rushmere. I think 7:30 is probably the very earliest probably that you could do it. So happy to support that. In terms of the quiet fireworks, I wouldn't be so sure. Maybe they even exist. Maybe, I don't know. If they do, yeah, it's an excellent idea to include everyone in the borough in such an event, but I would just be dubious whether there's actually such a thing as silent fireworks. I know you can get low noise fireworks that we had at the Jubilee celebrations, but like they were still fairly noisy, you know, if you were down there. And I just don't know about that, but happy to explore it. Yeah, absolutely. So happy to support. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. Jonathan, you going to come in on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and members. Thank you for your comments in relation to this report. Certainly, with members being in agreement, I'm happy to make arrangements from next year that the event is at the fireworks display would be at 7:30. I think, as Alderman Baxter has said, Rushmere is a key partner in this event, and we would like to certainly start those conversations with Rushmere early because of their pre-event and the partnership that we have with Rushmere. But certainly happy to look at that 7:30 for a start date for the fireworks next year. And then also, if members are in agreement, certainly happy to explore and provide a further report in relation to the silent fireworks around a possible event there as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Alderman Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's just sort of on what Alderman Baxter was talking about there, and the low noise fireworks at Halloween in Craigavon Lakes. Is it going to have the low noise fireworks?
Is anybody? Paul? Thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. Yes, last year the fireworks were significantly louder, but yes, they are less of the higher volume fireworks. But yes, they are still fireworks at the end of the day, so there will be some noise. But yeah, it won't be the higher fireworks as such, and that's part of the tender that we put out. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that. Happy enough, Alderman Barr.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Alderman Baxter.
Yeah, Chair, just on that, I know, just going back, and I don't want to, you know, pick scabs of old wounds, but the low noise fireworks we had before probably weren't that overly popular. A lot of complaints about them. So whenever you say that they're not as high and not as loud, like, because people are coming to this fireworks display, it's probably one of the best fireworks display in the country. And people come from far and wide, and if they're going to get a lesser show this year, you know, Council's had a lot of bad publicity this last while, so I'm a bit concerned that you're telling me maybe they're just not going to be as loud and as high as before, because that's what people expect.
Thank you, Chair. No, just to maybe to clarify that there's maybe two slightly different events here that we're talking about. The fireworks display that's happening on the 27th will be what the general public will be accustomed to. Last year, the fireworks display was slightly later, and that was due to technical reasons in relation to that. But this year's fireworks display will be of a typical nature that the public will be used to. I think whenever we're speaking about a silent fireworks display, that's maybe a potential second event at a later date, potentially in a different target audience, and at a later date. And that's the report that I'll take back to members. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. Alderman Barr, have you just got your hand up from before, or do you want to come in again?
No, just thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just actually surprised certain parties aren't against the normal type of fireworks. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no right. There's no further hands up. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Just having minor technical difficulties, and we've got Councillor Flaherty in the room. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair, for that. No, I hadn't made a number of notes here. If you'll bear with me, I will be brief, Chair, because I know we do have a very heavy agenda this evening. 3.3, just to congratulate the officers there and our Vice Chair for receiving the award. Like that is just I'm sure you had a great time. That's an excellent programme and well done to all involved there. 3.6 is very important to me, which is I think I did actually ask for this, is a presentation by Playboard. I'm so glad to see this coming in November. All children need and have the right to play, as I've said many, many times. I genuinely, Jonathan, do believe that this council is really punching above its weight in ways, and it has a positive solution-based attitude to these, the inclusion of disabled children. I'll give you credit when credit is due. We do, however, still come across some unnecessary barriers, and the officers are always very easily worked with along that line. But I think this will prove to be a very useful presentation, which may open the eyes of many that need to be opened. 3.7, the other award you've got, Paul, we were talking about this earlier, the excellent award. Congratulations to everybody down in South Lakes. Again, it's particularly some of those issues, as you know, are quite important to me. But I'm glad to note that there will be a review of the other centres, and there's some of that detail later on tonight, which is coming up later. And finally, 3.8 is the sports development report. There's an extensive list there of what goes on in this council, and I think sometimes we really maybe don't appreciate the vast array of age groups and abilities that are catered for by the sports development department. So guys, Gillian, perhaps congratulations. Such a programme for all abilities is covered there, and we do be very proud of the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making those comments, Councillor Flaherty. You know, whenever I came in tonight for the pre-meeting, and the first thing I said to Jonathan was, like, there's lots of good news in this tonight, and it's a pity it might have been lost a little had you not have spoken out in the depth of information that has come our way tonight. So having said that, moving on now, then those were items for noting, and I think we're all happy to note. Move on now to agenda item 4. And this first item, it's a decision item, a commemoration activities to mark the Great Famine, and Seamus is going to take us through those.
Thank you, Chair. Item 4.1 is the commemoration of activities to mark the Great Famine. This work, members, is completed along with the members' working group. The recommendation before members just to approve the plan as detailed in the body of the report. So proposed programmes developed from a notice of motion back in March 2019 as detailed in the report. The work was postponed for a period of time, just are held while COVID was ongoing, but it's been picked up since then. The Community Development Good Relations team have been working on this. Godfrey's been leading it and he's off on leave currently, so I'll go through the report on his behalf. In terms of the detailed section, it's just detailing out what is potentially involved in the programme. It remains a work in progress and work to be completed, obviously, with the members' working group. We're seeing that we've got the commemorative piece of public art, 3-stage process put in place along with and the principles set out by the Arts Council, and there's further details there. It's also proposing to involve secondary schools on the journey, and ultimately through those 3 stages would see a piece of public art created potentially for Lurgan, the Lurgan area. So in terms of the location, the exact location will be a matter for members, and that'll be brought back to members for consideration. Second item in the report in terms of details, the Famine lecture series, and that's a series of historical talks, and members will have seen this in a range of commemorative programmes. There is the next stage being an Uncovering History project, again, a secondary school and education teaching aid, and there's work ongoing there. With the commemorative interpretive panels, and there's a series of appendices with further information, again, the exact locations in those 3 parks of Lurgan, Portadown and Solitude, exact locations for those items to be confirmed. Programme of commemorative benches, proposed locations, Lurgan, Portadown, People's Park, Solitude and Palace Domain and Armagh. We also have some annual commemoration that has been discussed through the working group, looking at those 3 elements in an annual minute silence in May and the anniversary, a social media commemoration programme pushed out through all our social media channels annually, and we also have a potential tree planting. So members, in terms of the financial resource implications, number of this, we've only secured funding for part of the programme. That work's ongoing. That's in line with previous reports. So in the financial section, we're seeing that the item of the lecture series and also the commemorative public art stages 1 and 2 completed this year through the Good Relations Action Plan. Also proposed art pieces where council has allocated some money and funds being made available. So those are the parts where there's funding confirmed. So the work then is ongoing to research funding opportunities for both the commemorative benches and also the other additional parts of the programme, including the interpretive panels. And any new elements and further elements added to what's beyond the report would be based on securing that budget provision. In terms of the equality and good relations implication, it's involved research and evidence to demonstrate the shared history, but also the programme will be due to be a quality screened on the basis if the detail is agreed. So it's recommended that members approve the plan as detailed in the body of the report. Thank you, Chair.
And thank you, Seamus. Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, broadly enough happy with, there's quite a bit of detail there, Seamus, and something probably that I would like to discuss further with party members and stuff, just to see where others are broadly happy with it, but when you see the likes of annual minute silence, at a council meeting in May, the only issue with that is, are you starting a precedent there? And you could look back at lots of historical things that have happened, and you could have lots of minute silences in council meeting. We've never done it before for anything else. So it's just something, it's things like that I would like to tease out with my own party members. I'm not saying I'm against it or for it, but I think, given the amount of detail and the amount of work that's been done on this, and, all credit to the members that sit on that group. I know we have a member on it as well. And the officers that have worked, there's a huge piece of work been done there. And I think it's right and proper that this is marked in some way. And, there's tangible things in town centres and that to commemorate what actually took place. But I think there's just too much detail there for us to approve this tonight. I would like to maybe just defer it even to full council, just so they can take it back to party colleagues and get through the detail.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter, and with all due respect, that the working group was the forum to feed in. Yeah, but that's how it's got to this stage, is that it was discussed in the working group. Does anybody want to further respond to this? No. No. Councillor McNeill. Seamus, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe just a comment, listening to the members' comments as well. Perhaps it can suggest an alternative way forward, which is to agree the activities that there's funding available for, and we'll bring the further work back through the working group, and which will come back before members in any event. So that's the lecture series, the commemorative art public art stages 1 and 2, with the budget available to actually create the art piece. Leaves everything else for the work of the working group and come back through committee and council in due course.
Thank you, Seamus. Alderman Baxter, do you want to make further comment? Okay.
Thank you, Chair, for bringing me in again. And I just want to thank all who has brought this report here tonight. but happy that if you want to bring it back to the working committee. I thought Alderman Baxter was going to propose it, and I was going to second. Happy to go back to the what Seamus is saying there.
Thank you, Councillor McNeil. Alderman Baxter, bring it back in there.
Yeah, look, I don't think it's something we should be, split on in the chamber on it. At the end of the day, it has to be, it's the council decides anyway, committee's only making a recommendation to full council anyway. So in the meantime, I've put I wouldn't even call them concerns, but my comments are noted. So I'm happy just even to withdraw the proposal. And I'm not going to, I don't want to force a vote on such an issue like this. So I'm happy to, but I still will discuss it with party members. And if there's changes then I think we need to make, or, further things we need to say at full council, we'll do it there.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. Councillor Cosby, do your hand up, but taken down. Do you still want to speak, or are you okay? No, shaking his head. Alderman Spears, then.
No, I'm happy enough with the outcome of that. I think it's a fairly valid point that Councillor Baxter makes about the issue of a minute's silence. I mean, I was very supportive of the working group, that the work they have done, but I think that's just one thing that I think that just doesn't end with that particular event. There are many things down through the centuries, so to speak, that we could have a minute's silence about. So I think it does need some more reflection on it rather than just plow into it. That's my honest opinion. So, but I'm happy where we are at the moment.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. Alderman Baxter, could I just ask, is that the only part of it that you would like further discussion on, or were there other issues too?
Yeah, no, I just think there's that much in there. I would just like to go through the detail of it with it, go through all the detail. But that's just the thing that jumped out at me probably, Chair, that particular issue, but we'll go through it with the party and see how we bring it back.
Thank you, Alderman Baxter. And just to bring it to a close, Seamus, do you want to come in?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just in relation, members are making valid comments and in the spirit in which I think they're intended. There is no reason why we can't defer this back to the working group, have a conversation, bring those issues through. If members are broadly content to do that, there's no reason to prevent that from happening, and bring it back in.
Thank you, Seamus. So do we need a proposer then? So Alderman Baxter, can I take it that you are proposing then that we bring this back to the working group? Oh, sorry. Councillor McNeil.
I'm happy to propose or to go back to the working group.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor McNeil. We need a seconder to bring it to. Thank you, Alderman Spears. So we'll bring it back to the working group then to look a wee bit more at the detail, and at least we all now have the outline of events that we can have time to sit back and read them, because I do agree that there is a lot of information there. So on now then on to information items 4.2 to 4.9. If we take them on block, they are information items. Are we happy to note, or sorry, Councillor Flaherty?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to make sure, Chair, with regards to item 4.2, 4.4, and I've made a mistake there with one of them numbers, but anyway, I'm an elected member on PCSP. I don't know whether that interest needs declared or whatever, but just to welcome those plans. Just regarding the ASB, the protocol there that's mentioned there for reporting ASB, very, very good. And it would be remiss of me not to mention John and Andrew, our community safety wardens. I spent a very interesting, I don't know if Thomas Larkin's on this or not, very interesting Saturday night in Portadown up until 2:30 in the morning. I can tell you get a queer eye opener when you're in with the community safety wardens. Very interesting night, to say the least, and lots of lessons learned. And thank you very much to those gentlemen for what they do, because you couldn't pay them enough, and for letting us experience that and see what exactly it is they do on a Saturday night in the middle of our borough. So just I'm happy to note those items there, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Councillor McElrath.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, listen, it's just simply under 4.2. I know we have a big list, and I've looked at the appendices, and I know my eyesight's going, but if we could possibly have Scotch Street included on that ASB hotspot, I may have missed it, and if I have, apologies. But if not, if we could include that just as a point of noting, it has been, and I know the Portadown DA members will know that it has been a bit of a problem lately, especially with the scooters on the pitch, and the pitch is a bit out of the way, so it's probably an easy one. So if we could maybe just note that, to have that included in our hotspots, but welcoming that report very much so, and something through PCSP and here that we've been talking about for some time, and it's good to see the collaborative approach there. If I may, Chair, just to make a comment on another point, and that's one that maybe wasn't on the is 410, and if I can just run down to that, and it's really, I suppose, first of all, to welcome that scheme as well, or educational initiative on the drugs and alcohol initiatives. And it's really, I suppose my comment around that is that's really, really welcome. Again, to Portadown DA councillor, some of the other councillors will probably know what I'm going to say, and that's in the back of one of our recent place in the community meetings, one of our public meetings. It wasn't the Portadown one, but Portadown was described as a distribution hub for drugs by one of our senior police officers. So that's, I'm sure the other members have got that as well. And that's why the likes of this initiative is really, really important coming through. And I suppose I'm going to be parochial and say on the back of what has been said recently, I would like Portadown to be really, what's the words? Be involved in that project, and some concentration made in the Portadown area. And on the back of that, and it's not to do with the council or PCSP, but it's that there would be many more proactive policing operations carried out, and we've already spoken to the PSNI about that. But certainly it was quite a headline. The media ran quite a story on it, and it's something that's quite concerning, not just for Portadown members, but right across this council, that one of our areas would be described as a distribution hub for drugs. So I just want to thank Alison and Seamus for bringing that through, and really in the light of what police are saying, that certainly Portadown would be an area that we need to really concentrate on. So just making those comments, Chair, and thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McElrath. Alison?
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. Yes, thank you for your comments. As is noted in the report, we have had a number of discussions with various partners, including the Southern Drugs and Alcohol Coordination Team and the police. And whilst we're still exploring this issue at the moment in terms of the need and viability, we will be following up on it in due course, and will action it appropriately. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And if we could bring in Councillor Flaherty, please.
Thanks for letting me back in there, Chair. I did a bit like yourself, Councillor McElrath. I got a wee bit confuzzled there because 4.10 wasn't on that list, and yet I'd made notes about it. Just to say that, just in regards to that, like I've sat on PCSP. I think I chaired it when I first came on to council in 2016. We've had a long history, Alison. You work so hard on PCSP, and I think unless you're involved in it, you maybe don't see it. Maybe we don't shout loud enough about what all goes on in PCSP, because it's often seen as sort of the knight in shining armour that rides in to sort all these issues out, and there's only a finite budget for you and the staff. So well done. There's a big list there, and we do appreciate what you do. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Yep, thank you, Chair. Just to echo the comments on behalf of 4.10, I know I raised that back in full council there a couple of weeks ago in terms of the drink spiking test kits, and I think that really relates to the update that's been given tonight. So again, echo the comments in terms of the PCSP work. And then just also on item 4.8 on the ABC Youth Voice, it's another initiative I really welcome. I think it's a long time coming for our council area. I know previous council areas, Belfast and Newry, Morton and Down District Council, have set up youth voices and those types of forums. And I welcome on the terms of reference template in terms of the ages of 16 to 21, instead of ages 18 to 21, just opens up to a wider variety of young people. So I really welcome that, and I look forward to seeing it being developed in the future. So thank you.
Yes, Councillor Johnson, I would agree. I must admit that's one of the items that's stuck out in my mind reading through these. Councillor McNeill.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And one of the previous speakers had mentioned about Scott Street and the antisocial behaviour. Is there not a service level agreement out there so that place can be locked up out of hours? Can someone clarify that, please?
Sorry, thank you. No, Seamus, you want to answer? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to plan that, I'm not sure of the detail in terms of what we're saying, which premises is being left open and the service level agreement. But what I will do is take that away from the meeting and we'll look into understand which specific area we're talking about, what the arrangement is with regards to property being locked, if there's any service level agreements in place, and understand if that can be helpful. In the meantime, we'll certainly be keeping that under review with the ASB protocols and add the area if appropriate to that list and complete it in that way. But there's an element of work for me to go away and check and bring back to members.
Sorry, Councillor McAlinton.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, I want to thank Councillor Johnson again for raising this. She did raise it at the full council last month. And I want to thank Alison for bringing the report back. And yes, I did discuss this at the full council, as many may remember. My daughter was a victim of drink spiking earlier on this year, along with two of her friends. So a question maybe for Alison. Alison, what work has been done in local schools? Thank you.
Alison. Yep.
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the local schools, I know there is a programme of work with primary and post-primary throughout all of the PCSP programmes, as well as that, and particularly I suppose coming up to Halloween and ASB issues related to that as well. I know that the police and our team are going in to talk about those issues. We do link in with the ESTACT in terms of talks for schools in terms of drugs and alcohol as well. I would just need to check whether the particular issue of drink spiking is an issue that has been raised within those talks, but there is a full programme of talks that covers all of these areas. Thank you.
That'll be enough, Councillor McGlynn?
Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Thank you. A couple of hands up online as well. Councillor Cosby.
Thank you, Chair. And my comments just are in relation to 4.8 ABC Youth Voice. And I just haven't a look through the report now. I may be wrong on this one, but I'm just looking through the detail of the report, Chair. And whilst I welcome the initiative, there's no question of that. And I look at the positive impact that it should have, both for council, for the young people involved, and for the Education Authority Youth Service. I would be keen that when council get involved in an initiative like this, that they push fairly robustly for the inclusion of the voluntary sector across ABC Council as well, because if you take, for example, in Lurgan, there's no EA provision in Lurgan with the exception of Mornview. North Lurgan have Clonerne. You move over into Craigavon where there's a heavy concentration of statutory provision, but in Portadown there's no statutory provision either. So we have a number of voluntary clubs out there too. So their voice is going to be really important in this, and I wouldn't want that to be missed as part of the opportunity to feed in through this process. But looking at this, and I see just as it being an item for information, some of the report actually would maybe make me believe that maybe it should be an item for decision as opposed to just information, because we've been approached by the EA to support the borough-wide initiative, which will be called ABC Youth Voice, and we have to sign up to an agreed terms of reference. But there's also reference to expenditure in here from existing budgets and also within the terms of reference. And I am wondering, should just we formalise it as a proposal as opposed to just taking it as an item for information? Now, it may be the case where it fits within the officer scheme of delegation. I suspect I might have to get more familiar with that as the weeks roll on. But at this point in time, just for my own mind, if somebody could clarify that for me, thank you.
Seamus, take it that movement means you're going to take that on.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. The points in relation to the Youth Voice initiative is an EA-led project, as has been referred to by the member, and the points are valid. In terms of clarifying, in terms of the financial resource implication, it's the budget in terms of the Community Development Good Relations Action Plan that could be in terms of supporting that work, which will be built into future annual Good Relation Action Plans projects. So they would be the subject for council approval in due course. So it's before members at this stage in that context. And of course, further work will be completed as work on the Youth Voice is progressed, and further reports and decision items can be brought back to members when further work has been completed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Seamus. And then Councillor Cosby, do you still want to come in again?
No, Chair, happy enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. Councillor Nelson.
Thank you, Chair. And it is just a brief comment on item 4.2. And it's just to note and to mention Rhonda, Andrew and John. I very much think that they are the unsung heroes when it comes to antisocial behaviour in the borough. Some of the pieces of work that Andrew and John in particular have done under the direction of Rhonda has been so reassuring to many members of the community. I have contacted them when there have been drugs found, and they have gone out into that area and scanned the surrounding area at length. I have contacted them when there are darker areas in an estate or near a path when there's been an antisocial behaviour incident, and the elderly have contacted me and they have went down, round, knocked doors, spoke to them, reassured them and had a presence. So I just think it is worth taking a minute just to thank them for the work that they do, to mention them by name and to show that we really appreciate them. And just while I'm on that, also to thank the youth workers who are on the coalface. I know in my area in particular, Drumgour detached youth are out and about in the evenings and at the weekends, particularly at the minute when fireworks are being used in the manner that they're being throughout the borough, something that I've been raising with the PSNI the last week to 10 days, where actually youth workers are putting themselves at risk in the evenings as well. So just in relation to item 4.2, to place on record my thanks to those individuals and groups.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Nelson. And we have no further hands up. So are we happy then to move on? Yep. Okay, so agenda item 5, you have in your minute pad correspondence, a letter from the Irish League of Credit Unions. Councillor McAlinden.
Thank you, Chair. And yes, I welcome this letter and the correspondence from the credit union movement. And I propose that we do accept an invitation for them to speak in front of full council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McNeil.
I'm happy to second that proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Baxter.
Thank you, Chair. I think the custom and practice really go to committee at this stage, probably before full council. So if the members are happy with that, maybe committee would be better.
Okay, so we've a proposer and a seconder that the Speaker Council. Thank you, Alderman Baxter, for keeping us right. Happy enough, no further hands up. I'm going to seek a proposer and a seconder to go into committee now for consideration of the confidential items of business. So members and online viewers.
Sorry, Chair, excuse me.
Proposer, sorry.
You're okay.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Councillor Cosby.
Chair, thank you. Just to say, note my apology just for the rest of the meeting. There's items coming up that I don't think it's appropriate that I be involved in. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. So have we a proposer? Thank you, Councillor Flaherty and Councillor Tinsley. Seconded. So members and online viewers, in accordance with Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into a confidential session of this council. This means that we will be turning off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask the ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of the meeting session. Thank you. So agenda item 7 is any other relevant business. And I have received a couple of items of any other business. Going to bring in Councillor Nelson, please.
Thank you, Chair. And it's just to confirm you're happy for me to take both mine briefly. Is that okay? Or
yes, that's fine.
Thank you, Chair. So firstly, I will be very brief with regards to the first one, as I know you did arrange for council officers to contact me today, and I want to thank you for that. As many members will be aware, particularly with the lighting up of the buildings this week, is Baby Loss Awareness Week. It's something that really it's an unthinkable experience for people within our borough, and indeed I'm very aware within our chamber to have experienced. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Councillor Flaherty, who has been a tireless advocate for people who have experienced the loss of a baby. And she did a sterling piece of work some time ago around a bench in Tonickmore Gardens. There was some issues with that, and I spoke with Councillor Flaherty some weeks ago because I wanted to pick that piece of work back up, but I didn't want to do it without her support, because I was very aware that she has done a significant piece of work on this. So firstly, grateful that Louise, Chair, you organised officers to contact me about that today, that Councillor Flaherty is on board, and that together we are going to relook at that, and indeed look at other ways that we can support the charities within our borough, including Little Forget Me Not Trust and SANS, one that looks after the dads in the coming weeks. Can I give a particular shout out as well just to Seamus and his team for the efforts made in ensuring that the buildings were lit up as well. So thank you for that. The second piece of any other business, Chair, is around Loughgall Country Lake and the stocking of it. We have obviously been lobbied extensively, and there'll be members in the chamber tonight that are aware of this, around the stocking of that lake, and a belief in those that invest their time and in fishing that it is not being stocked enough. I have met Deira over the years on this. So it really is just to ask officers to perhaps bring us back some options on how we can support the fishers, or the fishing groups there that fish there regularly and that just want to be able to enjoy the catch, but who aren't sadly experiencing that just at the minute. So if we could get a meeting or a report from officers, that would be great.
Thank you, Councillor Nelson. Does anybody want to speak on the Loughgall, or how we proceed with just follow up? Jonathan, sorry. Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Nelson. Just yes, in relation to the Loughgall, certainly happy to ask officers to draft a report for committee, mindful of budgetary and estimate setting process, but certainly happy to get a report drafted for committee in that context. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jonathan. And Councillor Flaherty, can I bring you in the stage? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair. Just want to come in on the back of Councillor Nelson there. Yes, we had a conversation about this a while ago. It's a tricky one because there was a few issues. Just let's leave it at that. There was a few issues, and it just hasn't particularly went the way we thought it would go. So I'm more than happy that if we get a wee bit more support across the chamber, we might be able to actually enhance. Because it really didn't work out to my satisfaction at all. So I'm happy to work with Catherine Nelson on that. Can I just make one or two wee remarks just about Baby Loss Week? This is the 20th year of Baby Loss Awareness Week. It's really quite an important one in the calendar, not just for me, and most of you know I'm nearly 10 years down the path without my babies now, so I'm still on that very uneven path. And the theme of it this year is stepping stones, which is quite apt, because after that happens, life does take a path that you never expected. Hence, I am sitting here. But however, another thing Councillor Nelson said was how to enhance this. The buildings have been lit for quite a few years now, which is I'm very thankful for, officers. And back when I was Lord Mayor in 2018, we did hold an event here for bereaved parents. Unfortunately, it never was taken on as by the Lord Mayor's office for one reason or the other, because it's maybe slightly personal to me. But that could be something maybe that we could work on in the future, because I've said this often, probably more through governance committee with the lights, that we can light the buildings all we want. You know, some of them you don't even say, let's be honest. But unless there's something, and the communications team actually have fairly picked up the ball with that, with all our charities, and they do run it for all the charities that we do. But unless you have something linked to it, I don't think it just lands in the same way. So there's maybe two wee things we could maybe think about. But thank you, Catherine Nelson, and we'll our Councillor Nelson, sorry, and we'll pick this up. Happy for it to stay in the Craigavon DEA, so we're happy with there. So we will work on it together. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Flaherty. Alderman Wilson.
Yeah, and I know I haven't notified this, but it was just something we noticed earlier tonight. I hadn't seen it before. It was two like mini moto type scramblers ripping through the park there, which was a wee bit alarming to see, because there's lots of people out walking and enjoying the park, and then we heard the noise and these two sort of mini scramblers came ripping through, and it was just fairly shocking to see, you know, in a public park. So I'm sure it's just something I've never seen before, but there probably have been incidents, but it's just to make officers aware of that. And I don't know if there's CCTV or anything can be utilised to maybe, I don't know how regular an occurrence that is, but just to bring it to your attention and not misuse the AOB facility.
Thank you, Alderman Wilson. And actually, yes, we were very aware of it because we were in our pre-meeting and we had to draw a breath. But we'll check up on that. Thank you. Councillor McNeill.
Thank you, Chair, for letting me in. And it's just to follow on to Councillor Nelson's at the George Loch Hall and the lakes. I have been having a lot of phone calls about that as well, but I did raise that at the last full council meeting whenever they were doing the Loch Hall Park upgrading, and I did mention that to look into that as well. So that was mentioned. So still a bit on that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor McNeill, and I'm sure officers will go away and look into those issues in Loch Hall Park for us. But that's all I have on the agenda tonight. So just wish all a safe journey home. Thank you.